Live from Coldwater, Ohio. Play more lanes. It's the PBA Extra Frame Kenn Feld Group Classic. Cashers round qualifying. Getting ready to begin on these very difficult lanes. I'm Jeff Goodger with Phil Brylow. And Phil, late night / early morning due to the 3-person roll-off. And normally we see a roll-off and we think, well, why is this happening? These guys have no chance. But looking at the standings, everybody seems to have a chance.
Yeah, not the case. Michael Clark gets out of the roll-off. Kyle Troup had 129 during qualifying in Game 3. Still manages to make the roll-off. The Troup high with 204 in the roll-off. Jason Sterner, who was third here last year, odd man out. He's watching from the sidelines today. And 43 pins of difference between those guys in 32nd place and the guy that's in 16th. 4 games this round to see who's going to be 16th and up to move on throughout the rest of the day.
And at 4th place right now, which is what we'll be taking to the show, plus 65. So even that is in reach over the course of these 9 games we'll be playing, trying to get to that top 4.
Yeah, I mean, 100 over for 3 games, kind of impossible. We only saw a couple players do that yesterday. One of those players that did it was EJ Tackett. EJ on the outside looking in today as well.
And our leader, Dick Allen, after last night's block, or yesterday afternoon's block, how did he do it? What's he going to do today?
Well, his motto right now is he goes, it's an old Yakov Smirnoff joke, sometimes in Coldwater the pins get you, and that's really his deal right now. It's keep the ball in play, keep things in front of you, avoid the splits, and don't make any dumb mistakes on spare shooting. Only one miss makeable for Dick yesterday, and he's going to have to keep that going if he wants to stay in the lead.
And a lot of the players we expected to still be around are still around, including our defending champion, Rhino Page. He's in the top 10 coming into this final day.
No, and Page is just using equipment where it's basically the ball does nothing. You keep things in front of you. A lot of 9 counts are not a bad thing here in Coldwater because even when you get to the pocket, you're still going to leave some 7s and 10s for righties and lefties. Just patience is a key, and Rhino's been showing it again so far trying to defend this title.
And 4 games coming up right now, top 32.
Top 16 action, we're available 3 more games. Pins are not dropped until the step ladder. Keep track of your favorite players online. I'll be doing updates after each and every game so you can see just where everyone is standing as they approach the next cut going into the next round. Okay, bowlers, when your arrows come up, we'll rank a pinch. We begin your 4 semifinal games of 2018 PBA Extra Frame Kenn Feld Group Classic.
First game of 4, Marshall Kent rolling the first shot on FloBowling this morning. Kent with Darren Tang, Tom Smallwood, and Matt O'Grady.
And once again, the difference between 16th place Fran Louw and Kyle Troup and Michael Clark Jr. in the 31st and 32nd positions, just 43 pins. Marshall Kent, one of those guys is on the outside of the top 16 looking in, but only by 8 pins. Marshall Kent behind Louw in 18th position. And gee, there's the
look at this.
I know, there's the great start to the morning. 4-9, 4-9, 1-7, 4-6.
2-8-10.
3-6, 9-10. Yep. Welcome to Coldwater, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, we'll see you for the next round.
Well, we tried to make it better for everybody, but no, unfortunately, 10-pin, 4-pin, Greek Church, 610. Not a lot of strikes early on here.
This is the top 32. We'll go through the standings, some of it anyway. You can get it all on PBA.com, the entire list of everyone who bowled. Only 32 remain right now. Dick Allen in the lead at plus 171. Ryan Ciminelli is plus 106. And then you drop to Tom Daugherty at plus 78. Couple players at plus 65. Pickford and Butturff. Richie Teece is in 6th at plus 62. And the rest of the top 16, Jason Lundquist, Rhino Page, Chad Roberts, Joe Bailey, Brad Angelo, Andrew Anderson, Brandon Novak, Chris Vi, Chris Colella, and Fran Louw, who is at plus 4. And he's the lowest plus guy. Only 16 players averaging 200 or better.
And not surprised as the players go pair to pair this morning. We saw the outside pairs play tough, 1 and 2, 15 and 16. And each one of these foursomes will hit one of those two pairs once in their 4-game block. And then after this block is completed and we get to the round of 16, all players left and remaining in the field will be happy to know that those two pairs will no longer be in play for the rest of the event. But there's no such thing as an easy pair here in Coldwater.
No.
Just taking a peek last night at some of the league standing sheets here, and when you see a total of 300 games out of all the leagues during a season, you know a bowling center plays tough. And we had a chance for 300 last night in this event with Brandon Novak on the front 9. In game 3, unfortunately, left the 10-pin, first ball of the 10th frame, right there on 9 and 10. Still shot 278, but then had to hang on for dear life. So Novak a couple of games later went 171, 147 back-to-back, found himself outside the cut number, and jumped right back in, 222, 201. Novak currently in 13th overall.
Both Tang brothers we watched close out A squad yesterday, and at the time it looked like they were both going to be, especially Michael, potentially knocked out based on horrible splits at the worst possible times. And then they ended up qualifying low 20s, 23rd and 23rd for Michael Tang and 20th for Darren Tang.
Well, there's a lot of players that looked at the squad sheets yesterday and said, B squad's going to be that really strong squad. Going to have most of the guys make it off that squad into the round of 32. Not the case. Only 8 bowlers of the 32 were on B squad. Some of the notables that missed, we mentioned E.J. Tackett in the open. Tackett, Brett Spangler, Ronnie Russell, Brian Kretzer, Jake Peters, Chris Prather, A.J. Johnson, Parker Bone, all on B squad, all missing the cut. Matt Sanders on B squad as well. Man who finished second last week in Delaware finishes 62nd here in Coldwater.
Other players, thinking back to that A squad, we were watching the Tangs and Jason Sterner at the end of A squad. And Sterner, at the time we thought he needed a big game to lock himself in. Turns out he needed just a decent game. And one more pin would have been a decent game for him. And I'm thinking back to one shot in particular, great shot, stoned an 8-pin. And if that falls, he's in, and it's a 2-man roll-off last night.
Yeah, Sterner started with 155 yesterday. Finished with that 203 game. Knew it was close. He was back here towards the end of C squad. Knew he might be involved in a roll-off, and he was. And as you can see here, you let that ball outside on this fresh Don Johnson 40-foot pattern. Combine that with the topography on a lot of these lanes that seem to let that ball stay right when moved right and jump left when pulled inside, even more than many normal lanes would be.
Well, what's the mindset for this foursome? They are the 20th through 23rd place bowlers. So they're obviously within reach. As you mentioned, everyone in this round is within reach of 16, but these guys are right there at this moment. They have 4 games. And normally in a tournament, if it wasn't so hard as it is here, you'd think, well, I'll just bowl 4 great games and I'm in. So knowing that 4 great games is almost impossible, what do you do here?
Scrap for every pin. Hope the guys in front of you make some mental errors that cost them, 10 pins a game. You don't make those same mental errors, you're going to get ahead of them on the scoreboard. Those guys are in 14, 15, 16th place. You just can't let the easy spares get away from you. Everybody's going to split. Everybody's going to leave a washout or 2. If you can convert 1 more of those than your opponents and not lose any makeable spares, you can gain some ground. Rhino Page is a prime example of that. Patience, bowling balls that do nothing, and keeping your patience. Page right now, spare double to start his first game of this 4-game block over on 3 and 4.
If you want to watch Rhino Page or anybody else, Flow Zone coverage does not include 3 and 4. We're on 7 through 12. However, we do have every pair in the building covered. So you can watch any pair you want, follow any player all day long, or you can double screen it and stay with us while we take you through the goings-on throughout the bowling center. And on your other screen, follow your favorite player or pair or whatever it may be. And if you haven't done this yet, Phil, show us how.
Walk you right through it. You can see on the bottom left of your browser window there, you see the PBA Extra Frame Kenn Feld Group Classic. You go a little bit to the right, you see highlighted in red right there, the little camera. You can select 2 live streams. And what I like to do when I'm not in the booth, keep one on the Flow Zone. And you can see right now we're watching our leaders on lanes 1 and 2 on the split screen on the right. And you can select any pair you like. If I want to watch Rhino Page on 3 and 4, I can go ahead and pick that page, watch Teece, Page, Lundquist, and Butturff. So Teece has got to be feeling like an island right now. 3 lefties on his pair. And just him on the right side. So once again, keep us here in the Flow Zone because we can look around, see things that are going on inside the center, give you scores, information, commentary. If you're on any of the other individual pairs, you just get the ambient sounds of that pair to go along with your visuals. But if we see a big string, one of the other pairs will key you in here on the Flow Zone to let you know what's going on.
And right here, Matt O'Grady looking for a double and sends it way wide.
Troup for getting about 5 hours of sleep. He's pretty animated already down lanes 15 and 16. He's got 69 in the 3rd, double in the 4th and 5th. Him and Sean Rash talking things over right now. A couple of players that got to make those moves to get in that top 16 cut.
Chris Vai, former winner of this event, 2nd place last year.
Wow, extreme close-up of Kamron Doyle right there. Right near your living room. Yeah, you can see right now. Some of these players trying to stay right. That's not coming back again. That's a 4 count for Michael Tang. I think some of these guys are trying to just get too deep too quick early on, and your ball's already trying to slow down on the front part of the lane because of this install of synthetic lanes directly over old woods, so it kind of slopes uphill because all the years of wood lanes when they'd refinish the lanes, they use a drum sander that would take the finish off the hard maple in the front part of the lane. And it would reduce the maple a little bit more than the pine down lane, so you get kind of an uphill slope at the splices. And when you get that here, it's going to slow the ball down, so your ball's already trying to slow down, going up the first 15 feet of the lane, and then you're trying to get it to slow down even more and make the turn back into the 1-3 pocket. You see right there, Tang's just confused as he tries moving that ball in 3 or 4 boards in the front part of the lane. It ends up being 9 or 10 boards at the back with the angle change. And the Tang brothers find themselves in a little bit of trouble early. Another open frame for Fach. 3 opens and 5 frames. Not a way to get yourself into the top 16. As Fach currently sitting in 24th coming into this round. That's a score you don't see often on the PBA Tour. 30 in the third. Like you see from Michael Tang.
I thought it was first frame when I looked. So I saw Chapman's 36. And now Chapman with 4 off the right on a double.
Make it 3. He didn't even get
3.
to the 8 pin. He gets a 59 in the 4th. Once again, some of these lines these guys tried early yesterday, definitely not working today. Of course, this bowling center being empty for about 6 hours really had the opportunity to cool down. And if you put oil on a 70-degree surface, like they did this morning as compared to the later rounds yesterday, or it may have been 75, 77 degrees on the lane surface after heating of the building and friction from the bowling balls, it's gonna act quite a bit different. And the lines that they're using this morning don't work as well as the lines that they used yesterday early on. Vie with the right idea, though. Keep it in front of you. Don't give it away to the right unless you can really slow wheel it. Louw, we know, can slow wheel it. Smallwood, we know, can do the slow wheel with the best of them.
Like that?
Exactly. He could be the man to watch early this morning. Smallwood in 19th coming into the round at minus 11.
I swear to God, like up there going, sitting on 10 or 13. Doesn't matter, you just have to do it.
O'Grady with the horrendous break. Headpin comes off the wall, takes out the 2, but leaves the 410. And I'm surprised Louw isn't wheeling it a bit more like we saw when he had his biggest success in this block yesterday. see, 4-10, 3-7, big 4, 10 pin. Yeah, yeah. Welcome to Coldwater. Taking a look down lanes 1 and 2. 3 of our 4 leaders staying relatively pain-free in this opening game. Connor Pickford, though, 76 in the 6th. Pickford struggles early for the man that's currently in 4th place, tied with Jakob Butturff at plus 65, but that plus number going to be going away very quickly for Connor Pickford at this rate.
Darren Tang seeking a double. 7th frame, 100 in the 5th.
Bowler on a big run early. The man in 8th coming in the round, our defending champ, Rhino Page. Here's my pick to go back to back here, and Page spare 5-bagger on 3 and 4. Go ahead and click on your coverage on that pair. If you want to see Page, who now takes it out to 6 in a row after that opening spare. Problem is, Jake Butturff not losing a lot of pace to Page. Butturff, spare, strike, 2 spares, 3 in a row, so still 258 possible for Butturff on that pair. Only player struggling on 3 and 4 is Lundquist. Lundquist at 88 in the 6th, strike in the 7th. I think Jakob Butturff has thrown more messengers in his 8.5 games of bowling than the entire rest of the field has done. It's not easy to throw that wood around here.
No, I recall maybe 3 yesterday during, what, 1 per squad maybe?
Yeah. I saw Butturff throw a second one this morning.
Well, we've seen pins fly, but a lot of it turns into deadwood. The pins don't really fly at other pins. So yes, there are messengers. They just fail to deliver the message.
Right. Seen a couple of short messengers this morning for other players. Saw one for Michael Tangelo earlier. Cam Doyle. Way out of whack at the line. And it's just how tough the center normally plays. You know, stays in the back of a player's mind as much as they try to drop it from shot to shot. You know, it just sits there going, I got to make a great shot. I got to be perfect. I don't have room for error. And it just builds on the bowler's mental game, and of course that's going to turn around and affect the physical game as well. You don't see too many bowlers with shoulders aren't as relaxed as we see at a lot of other places while the event's going on. And that translates to being a little tight on the shot on many occasions.
Daugherty can strike out for 204. And Marshall Kent on his pair can get to 203.
Page and Butturff continue to just keep striking. Butturff down to 5-bagger. Page after the opening spare on 7 in a row on 3 and 4. Switch that second live stream, if you're split screening right now, over to 3 and 4 for that entertainment.
Yeah, that could put Page into the top 4 right away.
Well, Pickford's at 84 in the 7th on that pair 1 and 2, so he is definitely seeing some struggles. Daugherty just opened to be at 140 in the 8th on 1 and 2, so yeah, Rhino can make up a ton of ground. Problem is, hold on for 3 more games, and especially when that foursome that's starting on 3 and 4 has to finish on 15 and 16, and that pair has been kind to no one this week.
Novak can still get into the 240s as he continues striking.
Page gets the strike in the 9th. Brett Angelo having a good start to his morning as well. Angelo possible 268 in game 1 if he can get 3 in the 10th. Andrew Anderson, after a second frame open, bounces back with 6 of the next 7 strikes. And Anderson's still looking at a possible 240. It doesn't take much to move around this field. You shoot a solid 240 game, you can move 7, 8, 9, 10 spots in the field. Problem is, if you shoot a 150 game, and it's pretty easy to do that here, you're going to drop those 7 or 8 spots as tightly packed as this field is right now.
Kent needs all 3 for 192. Louw can get into the 2 teens if he can continue striking. And there's a double for Louw.
Newsflash, Connor Pickford puts a double on the board, can still finish at 174 with the last 5. When we talked with Sean Rash in the booth yesterday, he said, you can pretty much just count on 20 in the 10th frame being good. See if he does that right now. He's still looking at a game in the 150s to kick off the morning. Good news for Pickford is he had a little bit of a cushion coming into the day, being at plus 65. Bad news is that cushion's rapidly disappearing. And that's what happens here at Playmore Lanes when guys try to wheel it and beg it to come in. That flat 10 makes a regular appearance in that case.
Chris Vi briefly thought his last name was Barnes and not Vi. He goes for the shirt collar.
Thought better of it, realized he only has 1 jersey here today.
Looks to be a good start for Darren Tang. Michael Tang needs all three in the 10th for 160.
And Rhino Page trying to put the finishing touches on 290, which he does. There's your high game of the event to this point. And Rhino Page making a big jump up the leaderboard early. Final balls of game one. Player movement, game two. Coming up from Coldwater, Ohio. The PBA Extra Frame Kenn Feld Group Classic.
Rhino Page, another strike after his 290. He spared in the first here in game 2, and now
What's his possible score again, Jeff?
let's see. 20 in the first. The max is 30 in the first. Max score in a game is 300. He's already lost 10. Is it 290, Phil?
290 once again. Is possible. Of course, a lot of strikes need to be thrown yet before that happens.
Coverage of Jakob Butturff as well in game 2. And here's Chad Roberts, Brad Angelo, Joe Bailey, Andrew Anderson. Joe Bailey, success here last year.
4th place his finish, as he lost his opening stepladder match to eventual 3rd place finisher Jason Sterner. And we have our 9-game scoring update in the books. And you talk about a man who took a big drop. Jason Lundquist was in our top 4 coming into today. Yep, 155 in game 1 drops him to 16th. We talked about a lot of movement on the leaderboard, Jeff, up or down, and that 150 game dropped him a dozen spots.
Yeah, that's that hurts. But with spare strike in game 2 to start, Lundqvist trying to make up for that. Richie Teece just struck. He's plus 75. Dick Allen leads still, but second place now after that 290. Rhino Page is 27 pins back of first. Ryan Ciminelli third. Brad Angelo striking there is in fourth. Jakob Butturff is 10 pins off the number in fifth. Well, the number for the show. We're cutting to 16 here, so not too concerned yet with the top 4, but definitely still important, obviously, as the eliminator format. Pins carrying over. Andrew Anderson 7th. Brandon Novak, Tom Daugherty, Joe Bailey, Chad Roberts. Connor Pickford drops to 12th after his low opening game of 152. Darren Tang, Chris Colella, Chris Fach, and the aforementioned Jason Lundquist in 16th.
Mention how quickly things can move. Our 30th place qualifier, Sean Rash, shoots 229, moves up to 19th. 32nd place, Kyle Troup, shoots 226, moves up to 21st at minus 13. So both those players within 20 pins of the number right now, just a single game. Rhino Page feeling it early this morning. And feeling it often. Page with 14 strikes and 16 attempts this AM. Bad start for Graham Fach. 1-2-5 for Fach in his opening game. Drops Fach back into the number 32 spot at minus 96. 102 behind the number with 2 to go. Yeah, or with 3 to go. Yeah, that is an almost impossibility here, and decided to play more lanes. A couple other rough starts. AJ Chapman, 153. Chris Loschetter, 157. Michael Tang, 149. Leaves those players needing a huge, quick turnaround to try to advance the competition at 12:30 p.m. this afternoon Eastern Time. That's when the round of 16 is scheduled to commence here at the PBA Extra Frame Kenn Feld Group Classic.
12:30? I don't know.
Oh, there is no re-oil
Okay.
from round to round today.
Yeah, forgot about that. I think we'll be at 12:30.
Once again, I want to thank Linus Hardings, Rick Hardings, the Hardings family, and all their staff here at Playmore Lanes in Coldwater. everything they've done for the players and fans. Barbecue yesterday. The wonderful breakfast buffet this morning. Little big pile of meat candy out in that buffet. Ah, it was a beautiful sight for a lot of people early in the morning.
I should probably refill my coffee. I think I'll ask one of the bowlers to go get it for me. Here's one. Nah, he's busy.
Yeah, he's trying to get a reset.
I'll respect him doing his job and leave him alone. It's fun here when the bowlers need something out of the back, whether it's a ball or a pin respotting or something like that. The staff has to go outside and run around the outside of the building because they don't want to distract the players running down the lanes. And then they come in the secret back door. Everything magically gets fixed. Yeah, we keep going. Page keeps going as well.
I'll have to ask Rick Hardings what the house record is here.
It might be 290.
Oh, I mean for a 3-game series.
It might be 870.
Yeah.
After Rhino gets done.
That's true. Well, we just mentioned Sean Rash, Kyle Troup, the big moves they made, they're starting to give it back. Kyle Troup is looking at his second open in 4 frames. He's going to leave himself at 48 in the 4th. A bit better, 63 in the 4th for Rash. But a couple players that made early moves now starting to give those pins right back after they move pairs. And that's the problem here in Coldwater. Pair to pair, lane to lane. Nothing plays the same.
Everybody bowled one game on each pair of lanes yesterday, so they all have at least some knowledge of what's going on out there. 5 frame, and then whichever pair they got their practice on, obviously maybe a little more familiarity. But nobody can say they haven't seen any of these lanes, even if it's their first time ever here.
Just took a peek down on 13 and 14 at O'Grady, Smallwood, Kent, Tang. When Kent's leading the field with 74 in the 4th, you know it's a tough going on that particular pair of lanes. Anthony Simonsen currently 25th. Is working on the front 4 on lanes 1 and 2. Yes, he's throwing his normal right-handed delivery today. Simonsen just left a bucket crumbler 8-pin, one of the many we've seen here this week in Coldwater, but Simonsen trying to make that run into the top 16. On 1 and 2, go ahead, keep us here on the flow zone. Watch that second stream. See if Simonsen can keep the momentum going. Richie Teece looking to add another PBA title to the resume after winning the Shark Championship last year at the Geico World Series of Bowling 9 in Reno. And his slow wheel that time does not come up to the pocket. Lundquist, man, it's a number right now. Getting a nice bounce back. Open frame of the fourth, bounces back now with 3 in a row. Keep it here at Rhino. Page looking for his 6th strike in a row. Once again, using a piece of equipment that he really doesn't have to do much to. And that one just a dead pull right. You see right there, not happy with the release one bit. And usually 2-7. Baby split, not a huge deal for a professional. But here at Coldwater, that ball seems to want to stay to the outside once a shot is projected from the middle of the lane out. You have to kind of take that into consideration. And shooting at the 2-7, so he should be going with the polyester bowling ball here, which he is. He's going to try to hit the left side of that 3-pin, gets too much of it. And that's the problem when you play the middle of the lane here, is the ball wants to roll up a little bit early. Gives Rhino Page his first open frame of the day. Going 17 frames on open frame here in Coldwater. That's a success on its own, brings the strikes. So once again, elimination format today. No match play, no bonus. Top 16 advance after game 4 of this round is completed. Then those bowlers will take to the lanes 12:30 p.m. for 3 more games of qualifying, with all pinfall carrying over from round to round. After those 3, top 8 will advance the aptly named round of 8 for 2 final games of qualifying, beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern, and the stepladder final is scheduled to begin at 3:30 p.m. Eastern after our top 4 are determined, and 17 overall games of qualifying. The bowler in the field who dislikes this eliminator format, keep piling pins on your score, keep getting rid of the bottom part of the field.
Only thing wrong is we should have started that yesterday.
Well, it just took 3 rounds of qualifying to determine that, unfortunately, after all 3 rounds were finished
true.
at 8 games.
I guess you can't start cutting A squad when B and C haven't bowled yet.
That hooked up early for Anderson, stopped, hooked again. You see the sigh of relief as Anderson keeps the string of strikes going.
Lundqvist on a string.
3 in a row, looking for 4. So Lundquist still a possible 221 out there. Good bounce back from that opening 155 game this morning. But, of course, leaving the 356 is not exactly the easiest spare out here in this condition in this bowling center. When you've probably thrown 2 all weekend long.
Yeah, why not?
Lundqvist stares that one all the way down. With good reason, almost the chop. 5. Butturff playing that super tight line, way deeper than any of the other lefties we're seeing out here. Butturff does not get a nosebleed inside of third arrow, no doubt about that. And that's the problem with the slow wheel here. Pin decks become a little unresponsive. Lots of those week 7s, week 8s we're seeing left by players. Jackpot.
Taking a dip in Scrooge McDuck's pool.
Doing the Australian crawl. It's all these side bet earnings. I forgot to grab the extra 12 cents that Craig Elliott owed me last night. My side bet. Frame booth to nickels or less.
I don't partake.
Yeah, I understand. You don't. You're not. If you do gamble, which is a rare occurrence, you don't mess around. Mortgages, pink slips, stock options,
Roll-offs.
And for those of you at home that are semi-new to the sport, looking to get some tips for yourself to improve your own game, well, watch what these guys are doing this week. You don't see a single head turn away from a shot until that ball is well in the pit. That sweep bar is all the way down because these bowlers like to think they know what's going to happen from the foul line to 60 feet away. Thing is, it's a good educated guess on every shot, and they need to get as much information as they can to make a quality shot next time up on that same lane. And that's why you're seeing all these players watch the shot, good or bad, all the way down, see how the ball responds, see how single pins are missed. Once again, ball doesn't mean it doesn't hook. Yes, the friction is greatly lessened as compared to a reactive resin ball, but friction still exists. Even with a wet ice cube on a sheet of ice, it may not look like there's friction, but there's friction.
Oh, there's friction.
How about that break for Fran Low on lane 11? What 2-8? I'll just roll everything around and knock it over.
It's really upsetting about all that friction stuff. I took a lot of physics classes in high school and in college, and not once did anybody talk about any physical principle using bowling. And friction is a great example, great way to teach friction and bowling simultaneously.
Friction, conservation of energy, vectors.
Oh, vectors.
You got to use a good you're using a good vector, if not two, every time you make a shot in the lane. Using one vector on how you're getting yourself to the foul line, and another vector for how that ball is leaving your hand past the foul line.
So if there are any physics teachers, professors, researchers out there listening right now, please use bowling in your lessons, in your spare time. It's one of the most impressive things about professional bowlers is their inherent mastery of physics. They couldn't all tell you exactly what the numbers, the equations, all that stuff are, although some of them could. But just the innate knowledge, they just have it.
Yeah, well, you look at, the roll of a bowling ball down the lane. When the bowling ball is in the oil in the front part of the lane, the bowler's dealing with mostly kinetic friction because it's still going on, but most of that is building up potential friction for when the ball gets to the break point. And then, of course, you have static friction, which is when the ball gets into that roll at the break point all the way through when it gets through the pin deck and falls off the end of the lane. So once again, more physics in bowling with kinetic friction, static friction.
And then you add in the whole part about how the ball is slowing down the moment you let it go. It's getting slower and slower as it goes down the lane. And so you have to add that in. It's not a constant speed.
Right. Because the bowlers always talk about how does the ball get through the pin deck correctly. They need the ball to slow down in a proper manner. And Rhino Page having a lot of success with the ball slowing down in that proper manner to this point today.
Another one for Lundqvist. 221, his max. Two more. Now Chad Roberts in the 10th frame. He needs this one to get to the 2 zeros. You will not. So it'll be a 190 something for Chad Roberts. Back to Rhino Page. 234, his potential score.
And you just look at how soft that hand is for Rhino Page coming through. No tension in the fingers or thumb. Ease the ball off the hand. Let the dynamics of that bowling ball surfacing. Get that ball to set up into the 1-2 pocket properly.
Page's second shot in the 10th, struck on the first. And the second, Page is almost certainly in the 230s. Just a fill ball to make that official. Anderson on the spare, he needs a fill for 179.
No, he's not going to catch Dick Allen for the lead. Dick Allen, 228. In his second game. Ciminelli 151 in game 2 for Ciminelli. So Ciminelli surely dropping out of the top 5 with that score. However, Dick Allen is still going to be your leader after 2 games of this squad, after 10 games of overall qualifying. Final balls of game 2. Additional player movement, additional bowling for score, 2 games of which coming up here from Playmore Lanes in Coldwater in the PBA Extra Frame Kenn Feld Group Classic. In the game 3 here in Coldwater, Ohio. Playmore Lanes, the site, Kenn Feld Group Classic. $2 Phil Brylow and the Internet Bowling personality Jeff Goodger bringing you through this round of 32. Just under 2 games remaining. Waiting for the 10-game scoring update. 8 games of qualifying yesterday. They go with the 2 games today. And as soon as that comes across the wire, we'll give you that update. You can also get that update at PBA.com. And just because the Go Bowling PBA is going dormant for a bit after this event doesn't mean you can't catch some of the finest bowlers in the world at a PBA regional event near you, such as next weekend at our great hosts, George Pappas' Victory Lanes in Mooresville, North Carolina, the PBA 60 Wilson & Sons Pest Control Super Senior Open. In Pottsville, Pennsylvania, we got the PBA 50 Hammer Strike Zone Open. And in Peru, Illinois, Sean Rash making an appearance at the PBA Illinois Valley Midwest Central Open, presented by Ebonite. Another PBA 50 event in Mooresville after the Super Senior event. And the Super Seniors move on Tuesday through Thursday into Kingsport, Tennessee, with the PBA 60 Kingsport Super Senior South Open presented by Storm. Lots of regional action coming up throughout the country in the month of September, including a couple of regional events you will see here An extra frame of FloBowling, including Saturday, September 8th, Sunday, September 9th, with the Resort Southwest Invitational. And at the end of the month, you'll see the PBA Double-Decker Lanes Northwest Open. That event. September 29th and 30th, opposite of the PBA 50 Storm Invitational in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then the Go Bowling PBA Tour returns. Fall Swing in Tulsa, Oklahoma, October 15th through the 20th. Get all your schedule information, whether it's the Go Bowling PBA Tour or the PBA Regional Tour, through the schedule tab at. Here is your 10-game scoring update. Dick Allen, still your leader, plus 194. Rhino Page, huge morning this morning for Page. Plus 124 on the day to get Page to plus 173 overall. Jakob Butturff third at plus 135. Tom Daugherty fourth, plus 96. Brad Angelo in fifth at plus 90. Right now your number is 16th place. Darren Tang at plus 6, just a single pin. Ahead of Chris Vi and 5 pins ahead of Joe Bailey. So 2 players that made the stepladder here last year in Coldwater on the outside looking into that top 16 at this moment. Of course, with these 2 games remaining, they still have a chance, and a good chance, to get themselves back into that top 16. Pickford, a bit of a slide this morning, down to 13th from 4th earlier today. Pickford just 2 games. Pickford at plus 18.
Yep, there's Rash striking the third after 2 opens.
Yeah, everything Rash gained in game 1 with the 229. He lost with the 170 in game 2. Rash currently 24th at minus 39. A couple players with big struggles early that are going to be done with this event. Graham Fod, minus 96 for his first 2 to be at minus 117 overall. Chris Loschetter, 157 to 143 for Loschetter. Minus 100 for his first 2, leaving him at minus 122 overall. And, if you had either of those gentlemen in your stepladder final pool, you're out. Round of 32. Troup, minus 50. He's going to need a couple of big games to get himself in contention for that round of 16. But we saw 2 that three-way roll-off with Mark Clark, Jason Sterner, and Troup. Troup came out on top in the roll-off, 204 game. Claimed the 31st position in qualifying. But Troup is going to need to throw more than doubles on the lanes, unless he gets 3 in a game. Keeps the scoreboard clean. That's the only way he's going to have a chance to advance the competition, beginning at 12:30 p.m. today. Round of 16 here inside of Playmore Lanes.
It's going to be a tight turnaround for these 16 who make it, but they've done tighter turnarounds.
It's like watching me in the extra frame Yugo with trailer trying to get out of the parking lot here in Coldwater. That's a pretty tight turnaround.
Yeah, but it's my favorite thing to do every night is watch you do that.
Wow, and Paige very surprised by the reaction of that shot, and so am I. That ball, you're waiting for that to come up and be dead flush, and that ball just turned and did nothing. Once again, that piece of equipment may have used what little energy it had very early. And now Page left with a tough 3-5-6 spare.
The 3-6.
That's another guy that struggled all day long. 25 under for Lundqvist for his first two, leaves him at 26 over on the event. In 12th place, just 20 pins ahead of 16th place Darren Tang. Tom Hess was nervous about where he was going to end up after qualifying last night, but he ended up with the 30th position. And not much improvement. 35 under on the day to go with this 35 under he came in with. He's at 70 under, and a good possibility of getting his round of 32 check and heading out the door back to Iowa after this round.
Michael Clark Jr., one of the players advancing out of that three-person roll-off last night.
Well, Teece got the crossover strike in the 5th to keep the string alive that time. I don't think he was far enough left on the approach. Definitely wanted to be in the area of the lane he was looking to be in, but needed to start everything off a bit farther left to get that ball to hold.
.10 for Butturff. And Troup once again with a 9 count.
That's one thing a lot of these guys are just on the outside looking in, like Chris Fach, Joe Bailey, need to realize is that they don't necessarily need a 250 game to make a big move. The way this field is going right now at the scoring pace, if you shoot 220, you're probably going to gain 40 pins on at least 2 or 3 people in front of you because they're going to shoot 180 or less.
Well, you noted that after game 1, Sean Rash shot high 220s, and he moved up 12 spots and was suddenly in contention. Then, of course, he had his next 2 games.
And give it right back. Well, Joe Bailey right now, just 5 pins behind Darren Tang, and Bailey struggling a bit. 110 and an open in the 5th, and now he's facing a 3-6-10 down on lanes 13 and 14. We want to keep an eye on Bailey, Anderson, Roberts, and Angelo. Roberts just trying to hang on inside the top 16 on that pair. Roberts currently 14th at plus 13. Brett Angelo solidly in 5th. And Andrew Anderson in 9th. Chris Fye, man, that's currently in 17th position. Bowling on 15 and 16 right now. We know that is a brutal pair all weekend long. Vi currently 103 in the 6th on an open. Novak, Colella, and Louw joining him on that pair. And that's all players on that pair that are real close, one way or another, to that cut number. So if you want to see some bowlers battle the pressure, second screen, these players, your second live stream, 15 and 16. We'll keep you updated on the flow zone.
Pickford chance at a huge game here. Another strike. Page on the 4-pin conversion. Pickford can finish with 267 if he strikes out. Back to Rash after the balk.
Considering Pickford was 47 under on the day through his first two. Started off badly with 152, came back with 201.
Dougherty on a string.
Sorry about that, Jeff. I was trying to
not an intended
take
pause.
care of some. Yeah, trying to take care of some housekeeping here, and accidentally muted you.
Well, you muted everything except for our non-existent guest.
Yes.
Well, at least we know the mute button works.
Great interview with Dick Allen in the booth last night. Mindset of the man that was leading qualifying. Kept getting that mindset until we pointed out how much bowling there was coming up in 2019. The first part of the PBA Tour where Dick Allen, the air travel, dropped his headset and ran out of the booth out the door.
That is a Dick Allen exit. Seven for Ciminelli. And Lundqvist looking to extend his string to 3 in a row. 225 possible. And he does get them all. He's grateful for it. Dougherty. Speaking of big games, 278 possible for Tom Dougherty.
Pickford.
57 possible. As he and Dougherty having a lot of fun on this pair. And Ciminelli and Allen not quite as much fun. Pickford can't get the 10 to go, so he will not shoot 267. Still important game for with this spare, and then in the 10th frame.
Yeah, I will personally show my detest for missed single pins if Pickford errors on that 10 pin. The haphazard off the end of the approach, deadwood clear. Rash still makes it happen.
Now Pickford at the 10 pin. Perfect.
Oh, and you see, he's proud of that. That's a proud moment for Pickford. He's glad he gets a chance to show his deadwood clearing skills. I mean, you just saw the wily veteran Sean Rash make a haphazard, lackadaisical deadwood clear. I think Pickford's going to try to show him up a little bit, show some quality form, and show a well-thought-out effort at the deadwood clear. And look at that, the left-handed, two-fingered deadwood clear. That's how you show off. That's how you have confidence on a deadwood clear. None of this, I'll just knock it over. No. You had a little flair, pizzazz, and style to it. You put your stamp clear. Since he's a member of Team Fish, wouldn't that technically be a driftwood clear, not a deadwood clear? Come to think of it. And once again, as these bowlers approach closer to the end of the tournament, pace slows down. Bowlers start to think about things a little bit more. I don't know why first ball number 30 of a tournament should be approached any different than first ball number 1 of the event. I mean, they're both as important to your score. But for some reason, the bowlers' focus and intensity seems to go up as fewer frames remain in the event.
Next round's scheduled to start at 12:30. I don't think it will.
They may start practice at 12:30.
They might start, well, that'll be close to.
And they'll get 2 on a pair of lanes.
The important thing for viewers at home is we're not really going to miss any bowling. It'll be late because we're still watching bowling. So still a lot of bowling. Pickford can still 6 if he strikes 3 times. If he bowls, there he goes.
Looks good. And same shot as last time. That 6 pin, you see the angle that Pickford's using. Hits the left side of the 6 and sends the left side of that 6 pin basically into a 90-degree angle into the sideboard. Tips over, does nothing. No chance to get to the 10. That's going to take Pickford down to the 220s, or 230s, but still a solid game.
Yeah, it's a good finish. As you've been saying, as Sean Rash told us yesterday, as a lot of the players have been saying, pretty much try to get 20 in the 10th, and that's a good 10th frame. And that is what Pickford is going to do with a fill, or that was his fill. and 230.
Well, just when it looks like Dick Allen might give Rhino Page the lead. Page on 11 and 12. Dick Allen looking at 183. And with Allen still having a 21 pin advantage over Page, Dick Allen will not relinquish the lead, even with a sub 200 game, to the hot hand of Rhino Page. It's now starting to cool down a bit. Of course, Page still has to face that dreaded pair of 15 and 16 in his final game of this round.
Dougherty, potential 278.
Yesterday, 277 in game 2. And even with a weak 168 game in his final qualifying game, still managed to plus 78.
Crosses over for this one, so just 2 more for 278. Long time on the approach before that shot, Phil.
It's just one of those things where you need to know what you do before you step up, and you can just tell he's second and third doubting or to throw the ball, and if you do that mentally, you're going to freeze up your body physically a bit. Dougherty never got that ball as far right as needed. A little bit quicker on the approach this time. A little better out of the hand. Gets the 4 to go late. Yeah, it's just, you start to do the mental lock, and it just starts to affect. All starts with the push away. All starts with the first step. If everything's off in that initial bit of timing, it's hard to bring it back in.
So on that second, he was a little quicker because he learned something from that first shot, and so he knew exactly, okay, this happened, I tried to do this, now I have to do this. And then, as you said, it was a better shot.
That first started with, why the hell did I take so long on that first shot?
Yeah, his second 2 shots took less time than his first one combined.
And get into the pocket, looks up at the scoreboard. Yes, that's 274, Mr. Dougherty. It's a quality game at this point in time of the event. And the downfall for Page right now, 175 is max after the 9th frame open. Butturff with his 243. And actually Butturff is going to be really close to Dick Allen. Dick Allen at 187. That leaves Allen at 181 to the plus. 178 to the plus is Butturff. So unofficially 3 pins the lead. A single game remaining in this round. Of course, every pin matters throughout the event. But the only place that we're worried about in this round, where you end up, is 16th, because if you're 17th or below, you get to go take the scenic tour of Coldwater, Ohio. On your way, competition day will be complete. All 4 of these players in this belt in trouble of not making the cut, especially with the number of pins they are all going to be giving back to the minus this game. They're going to be adding some minuses to their already minus totals. Sean Rash is going to lose a minimum of 11 to the plus. Tom Hess is going to lose 19 more. Hess is in a bunch of trouble. He's pretty much done. Michael Clark going to lose a minimum of 10 to the minus. So that's minus for Clark. And yeah, all 4 of these players, big time trouble And unless they shoot a miracle game, game 4 of this block, their action in the extra frame Kenn Feld Group Classic will be done after this.
Page Lundquist on his fill ball. Strike for 191. Be a 187 for Lundquist. And we'll let this group finish out their 10th frame as we get set for game 4 live from Coldwater. Ultimate game of Cashers qualifying. Fach on this pair. Jeff Goodger with Phil Brylow, and also on this pair, Kurt Pilon, Anthony Simonsen, J.R. Raymond, and Chris Loschetter, and some of these players right around that cut number, Phil, with 1 to go.
That man that is the cut number right now is the man up on Simonsen, -3 for Simonsen. And the 210 stares him directly in the face. New leader, Jakob Butturff, +178. Dick Allen second, +171. Tom Daugherty, +170. Trying to get a little sign of a Rhino Page, not too far back, +138. Ryan Ciminelli, +122. Brad Angelo, +113. Round out your top 6. And there's a lot of bowlers that can easily jump in or fall out of the cut number. Number at 16th position. Chris Colella in 15th at +1. Joe Bailey +3 in 14th. And Fran Louw and Jason Lundquist 12th and 13th at +13. Those are the bowlers that can easily fall out. Bowlers that can make their way in. Ryan Simonsen, Chris Vai 15 behind. Marshall Kent 16 behind. Tom Smallwood 17 behind Simonsen. So lots of watching to do here.
2 spares to start for Pilon.
And once again, if you want to keep an eye on some of those players that are close to the cut number, they may not necessarily be on this flow zone feed. Over on lanes 3 and 4, you keep an eye on Colella, Louw, and Vi. Along with Brandon Novak. Novak's got a little cushion at +24. 3 and 4 is a lot of bowlers that are close to that number. Same thing with Joe Bailey on 1 and 2, up on the number. They're just getting underway on that pair of lanes. Grandpa, his competition ends with this game. Same for Michael Tang. J.R. Raymond will be same with Loschetter on this pair. Pilon still an outside chance. He's 32 behind Simonsen at this point. Joe Bailey, a man that's in 14th right now, just 6 pins above the number. Bailey on 1 and 2, he started with the front 3. Bailey had a pretty solid game on, so most bowlers fear that pair. Bailey seems to thrive on it. Darren Tang, the man right outside the number. Tang bowling on 5 and 6. Tang starts with a double and then converts a 10 pin in the third. So he currently has switched spots on the leaderboard with Simonsen if the game were to end at that third frame. Obviously, we still have to bowl those last 7.
I certainly hope so. It's a 10-frame game. Can't quit after 3. Nice conversion by Michael Tang.
Just tell them to leave them up until everyone's done bowling. Good, thank you. Appreciate that. Tries making the correction off the 210. That's been a problem for a lot of players all week long.
It's makeable, but 4th frame now, you can't be leaving all these 6 counts and splits.
And that's the part you got one move and you go from 210 to through the face. All right, you have 3 more shots on this lane, and then, oh, you might have to punch out in the 10th frame to advance because you're finishing your 10th frame on lane 10 if you're Simonsen. Best of luck on your mission, sir.
First in 2 games last week. And he picks it up.
Well played by Simonsen. So
They'll be off by 1. He has 42 in the third.
Joe Bailey's string ends at 4. But Bailey well set up to stay in that top 16. You can just fill first on 1 and 2. Down at 15 and 16, Butturff running into a little bit of a struggle. 104 and an open in the 6th. Lundquist trying to make the run to hold on to his spot, tied for 12.
And Doyle does not get that pin to go. Wobbles, pushes it back to the left, still standing.
Lundquist front 5 before he goes high. It leaves a 6 pin, so Lundquist making the big run on 15 and 16. Just took a peek in
Now
on third.
Doyle misses
Wow.
it.
We saw him miss some single pins last week in Delaware that almost cost him a couple positions in the
1. And that was the 6th frame. Will you verify that, Phil, for Doyle?
That would be the 6th frame. That would give him 93 in the 6th. I'm just checking in right now on Chris Colella. Colella 45 in the 3rd. 4th, so Colella pacing in the 180s at this point in time. Chris 57 in the 4th. Striking the 5th, so Vi pacing in the 170s. That's not going to advance him into that top 16. Vi's going to have to start stringing some strikes late on 3 and 4.
Simonsen, that's 62 in the fourth. Strike in the fifth, and now another multi-pin combo.
Makes the move off the 4-7-10. Back to being too light. Now Joe Bailey, pocket 7-10 on lane 1 in the 7th frame. Still leaves him with 155 on that open. Bailey's got a 6-pin cushion over Simonsen, and obviously with Simon creasing a little bit, as Bailey had the early string of strikes on that pair. Man, just outside the number. Pacing in the 2-0s can get a 2-teen pace going if he can get his 3rd strike in a row in the 7th frame on lane 6 when he steps up. Tom Smallwood also trying to make a late charge. Smallwood at -20 on the same pair with Darren Tang. Smallwood 117 in the 5th strike in the 6th. So 217 pace for Smallwood, but double or 3-bagger in there for Smallwood could get him right back in the running for top 16 potential. Of course, you can keep an eye on action on any pair of lanes in play here. Just make that selection at the bottom of your browser screen. Or go with the 2 live streams. Keep us on the Flow Zone stream and bounce from pair to pair to see scores and action from any of the other. Taking a look in on 13 and 14 at our group with Dick Allen, Tom Dougherty, Ryan Ciminelli, Connor Pickford. Steady games for all players. Dougherty trying to throw another big game. Still possible 277 for Dougherty, but 3 frames to go for all players on that pair. But all those players will advance to the round of 16. Richie Teece, good thing he's got a bit of a cushion right now at plus 98 in 7th overall. Teece needs to punch out in the 9th and 10th to get 201. Brett Angelo, nice round this morning. 71 over for his first three. He's on 1 and 2 this final game. Bit of a struggle, but he's bounced back with a string in the middle of the game. Angelo's going to get himself into this round of 16 easily. Big questions right now are from 10th down with Doyle, Novak, Louw, Lundquist, Bailey. Lundquist, though, solid game. Started with the front 3 strikes, and Lundquist 174 in the 7th, spare in the 8th. So Lundquist, if he goes open, still be in the 2 teens. Lundquist should easily get himself into the round of 16. So a rough start for Lundquist, but fought his way through. He'll see some additional competition.
Simonsen with a chance at 2:22 here.
Sure, easy to do. You just got to throw a flame and
Yeah.
strike on him. Where he has been close, but not close enough.
See the 101 in the 6. That's actually 102. Which is how I'm able to get to 222, and Simonsen dancing out that one.
Yeah, Lundqvist just struck in the 9th. So Lundqvist pencil him in.
7
yeah,
and 8 pair.
that is.
So we'll go back to Kurt Pilon while they sort out whatever's happening there.
Dick Allen having a bit of a struggle at 13 and 14, 123. Yeah, Pilon's going to need some serious help, being 39 behind the leader. Probably 38 behind 16th, I apologize. Well, Tom Smallwood had an early run. Smallwood sitting at 136 in the 6th, spare in the 7th, but Simonsen stays hot. Smallwood's not going to be able to pass him. Wow.
That's horrible.
That'll take the wind out of your sails on Grand Lake.
Doyle coming up on lane 7.
Doyle at 113 in the 7th, spare in the 8th.
Strike in the 9th.
So still 193 possibility for Doyle. Doyle been getting all of them. If I were Kamron Doyle. You never know who might sneak up from outside the top 16. Back after early struggles, so Teece stays at plus 98. We'll see him next round. And Jakob Butturff, our leader, is going to shoot 190 his last game. That was Butturff to plus 168. But with Dick Allen struggles, because Tom Daugherty looking to shoot 257 when Daugherty steps up in the 10th frame. Joe Bailey's going to shoot 215 with a spare. They'll move Bailey to plus. Bailey was in 14th coming into this game. One would think by moving up an additional 15 pins, he should stay inside the number. So plus 18 for Bailey's total. Currently tied for 12th with Lundqvist. Louw 180 in the 9th, so Louw can max out at 210. Louw just opened in the 9th. He's going to need a little help to make sure he stays in.
And here's Doyle in the 10th frame. And he gets them all on the first shot. .193 his maximum.
Lundqvist 222 gets Lundqvist to plus 35. That should be enough to stay in. Chris Vi needs a strike on the fill ball to get to 195. Vi was at minus 18, probably not going to be enough. So the man that finished in second place here last year may be done with competition.
One more strike for 193 for Doyle.
So that's going to keep him in the plus 20 range. That keeps him ahead of Joe Bailey. So Doyle should still be in. Vi gets more. Vi at minus 25. He's done. Colella needs some help though right now. Coella's stepping up on lanes 3 and 4 in the 10th frame. He needs to strike out for 191. Colella just 4 pins ahead of Simonsen at this point in time. And Darren Tang, who's on 5 and 6.
191 for Kamron Doyle.
So Kamron Doyle ends up plus 22. That will be enough.
Simonsen's max is 200. Or 201, actually. It's off by. Doesn't like it, and good reason. It goes wide. 1, 2, 4, still standing.
Brandon Novak shoots 188 his last game, so Novak still at plus 12. That could be questionable. Francois Louw gets his first one in the 10th, so he should, if he fills and gets to 200, he'll stay ahead of Novak at plus 13. Colella stepping up for his first ball of the 10th frame. Colella could be falling out quickly. Colella leaves a 4-pin, and they'll drop Colella to minus 19 with a spare and a fill ball. Darren Tang is going to pass Colella, as Tang needs a mark to pass Colella. His maximum is 223, but Tang working on a strike. And Fran Louw leaves a 4-pin his second ball of the 10th frame, so the spare Louw will stay at plus 13. Back one position behind him. Chad Roberts 180 or 160 for Chad Roberts. That's not going to be enough. Tom Smallwood. Mr. Dougherty is going to be your leader after this round.
Simonsen strikes on the fill. So that'll be a 187. Again, that's and that's the flow zone action. Phil, what is going on elsewhere?
Well, Smallwood can max out at 200. Maybe Smallwood at minus 20. Need to see what Colella ended up with here. Colella ends up with 180. That moves Colella back to minus 19. Marshall Kent was at minus 19. Kent had 186. So Kent's going to be out. He'll be behind Vi. Darren Tang, he's going to be in the 220s. 196, that's going to be minus 24. Gets Smallwood ahead of Vi, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Okay, that concludes your 4-game semifinals.
Low at 200 stays at plus 13. Simonsen's finish was
Give me a few moments. We'll go ahead and we'll verify the scores.
186. So Simonsen at minus 19. Darren Tang 220. There might be a tie.
Top 16 scores.
Unofficially,
To the next round.
I've got Colella and Simonsen at. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Simonsen is minus. I have Simonsen as the number at minus 17. Colella 2 pins back. As Darren Tang jumps in. So unofficially, Anthony Simonsen at minus 17 is the number. Unofficially, Chris Colella 2 pins back. We'll have to wait for momentarily.